On this episode of Nugget Project, we get rid of our shit suspension. Guys, the day is finally here. We finally have our suspension. Look at it. I had heaps of people messaging me and asking me why. I was like, why haven't you done a suspension on this car? The suspension was clapped out. I'll tell you why. Because that cost me a freaking fortune. And I had to run around the desert chasing runners and athletes for a week to pay for it. So yeah, that's why I haven't freaking done it. But now I've got it and it's glorious. I had a quick sneaky open of it, but I haven't really had a look yet. So let's see what we've got. Oh God, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. Ah. Oh shit. Okay, so this is the Mca Xr Series suspension. Let's have a talk very quickly about why I went with the suspension. Sorry, I was just about to do a spiel about the suspension, and somebody has got a turkey in the yard next door and is gobbling. I just did not expect a turkey to gobble when I was about to do a video. Anyway, hopefully you hear it in the background. It's hilarious. Cool. So, I went with the Mca Xr suspension. This was one of the control suspensions for the XL league. Now, let me give you a quick rundown. Basically, what's happening is there was 3 or 4 different types of control suspension you could choose from in the CAMS regs of the XL. However, over the years since they were chosen, the suspension companies are going to change things. So what was a control suspension has now been tweaked and adjusted by the manufacturers. Therefore, it doesn't actually fit the original sort of control suspension of what it was. So what CAMS is trying to do now is just make one control suspension. So it's going to have to tender. A few brands have put in there like 2 cents, like, hey, we've got this. Then all the clubs are going to vote, decide which one to go with, and I think all of them are just going to run the one control suspension. So why didn't I just wait to find out what that control suspension was? Here's the thing. You've seen how long it's taken me to build this car, partly due to money, partly due to time constraints. I really want to get this car out on the track. I emailed the sort of CAMS XL official guy in Victoria, lovely guy. And he couldn't really give, I understand his position, he couldn't really give me a proper time, like this is when it's going to be decided on. He basically told me, wait until the end of the year. That's 5 months away. I cannot put this car in a shed for 5 months and I can't drive it on a stock suspension. If you don't remember, here's a clip of what it looked like. So it's shagged, right? Like I need this suspension. So I just went, screw it. I'm going to get the Mca. This was recommended to me by a bunch of people over the other brands. Apparently Super Shocks are pretty good too, but they're a bit more expensive. So yes, I've gone with the Mca Xr, which was one of the control suspensions. There's a fair chance it's probably not going to be legal, but hopefully there'll be a sort of legacy period where I'm going to have a couple of years before I definitely have to change to new suspension. If that's the case, I'm cool with that. After 2 years, I'm hoping I'm going to do enough time on track that these will be pretty clapped out by then. Or I'll just be happy to try something new and, mix it up a bit. Anyway, so all the politics aside, that is why I've got this suspension now. That's why I didn't wait. I just want to get the car going. If it means I'm not going to get points, I'm not going to be able to race, I don't care. I'm just going to take this to every other event, hill climbs, Madicanas, track days, whatever, and just go and have fun with the car. I'm not going to be able to enter enough races to be competitive anyway. I work too many weekends, so I'm never going to be in every single race regardless. Anyway, there's a spiel about all that. Now, about the suspension itself. Number one, it's extremely pretty. Look at all the fun detailing and purple and stuff on it. God, I love it. So at the top hat, we have a couple of things. So we've got full camber adjustment on the top there, so we can slide. That sits obviously up in the top of the strut tower, and you can adjust that up. That's our rebound adjustment, so how quickly the spring rebounds. Very cool. Down here we have the height adjustment, so that's how high the spring will sit. Now, it actually sits loose like that. And I thought, oh God, that's terrible. But MCA say that's not a problem once the car settles on it. That's the way it should be. And these are actually set up from the factory. So they supply this to you ready to go. So obviously I'm going to tweak it, and I've already had about 10 messages of people going, oh, you should set it this way, and every single person was completely different. So I don't believe any of them. I'm sure they're lovely and I'm sure they're fast, but I'm going to figure it out in my own time. Also, you can adjust the shock into the bottom canister here. MCA say you shouldn't adjust that. A lot of people say you should. I don't know. The other cool thing about this is these are, so this extra little bit, these little washers down here, this set of washers cost me an extra $500. Yeah, so they're pretty expensive. But what they do is they actually have, you probably can't see it on the camera, but it says 12.1, that one's a 12.0, and also have a 12.2. What that is that's the whole size, is 12, and then that's 1 degree, 2 degree, 0 degree, and we've got 2 degree. So when we put the hub on, we can actually adjust the camera on the bottom or in degrees like that. So quite a fair bit of adjustment when you move all these washers around, and they're captive with little hex heads so they don't spin around or fall out when you're playing around with them. Yeah, very cool. It's a really nice bit of kit. I think it's manufactured overseas but constructed and sort of designed in Australia, which I like. At least there's some Australian content to it. Very cool. Let's put it in. I'm sorry if I'm a bit snotty and sniffly this morning. It is so freaking cold. It's 2 degrees in Melbourne this morning. Hot damn. Okay. So here's our beautiful shocks. Oh yeah, front and back. Also, they give you a spec sheet here, which is pretty cool. It's kind of gives you a bit of info on the clicks on the damper adjustments, what weight springs, and recommended ride height front and back, which is all really cool. Thanks, guys. In here, in our soft little baggie. Oh, so velour and so hard to open with one hand. Open. So we have a few things. We have a little Allen key adjuster, and that goes into... Oh god, I need to find a hole. Where are you? There we go. So there's a hole there, and that just unlocks that pin, and then you can adjust that up and down. That's pretty cool. We have a spanner for adjusting our ride height when it's in the car, because it's too hard to do by hand. And then these are all the extra camber washers. So these are the 2 degree ones. Yeah, so when we want to play around with those, we've got all those for each shock. Pretty cool. Yeah, so now what we need to do is, in the style of Mighty Car Mods, first thing you gotta do is jack up your car. So we're gonna jack up the car, and I'm gonna do just one side at a time instead of both the front, purely because I don't know which one's front and which one's back, and it'll be pretty obvious when I pull the suspension out. Yeah, suspension's actually pretty easy to change. It's only a few bolts. So we've got the 3 bolts there on the top, and it's the same in the engine, and then there's the 2 major bolts on the bottom, and that's it. Use a big lever to lever down your wishbone, and now we pull it out and put a new one in. So let's do a bit of a time lapse of all that jazz. Oh yeah, and if anybody's interested, we have some new merchandise. We've got these fantastic jerry cans, Nugget Project branded. No, I'm joking, it's just a Nugget Project sticker on a jerry can. Don't get excited, guys. Cool, so we got the car jacked up and we got the wheels off. Honestly, it's pretty easy. The only thing holding the suspension in is, this is the bottom of the strut here, and we've got the 2 main bolts up the top. You got those 3 there. The only thing is, this will probably be somewhat spring loaded, so you just might need to get a lever in here just to lever that down. And then we can pretty much pull the struts out. I'm doing a time lapse over here. Check this out. Hopefully you guys will appreciate this, especially any camera nerds. So what I got set up here is one of my cameras, taking photos, but I've got it on this slider with this motor rig, and basically the camera takes a photo, and then the motor rig moves along half a notch, and it just keeps doing that, and we get a time lapse of me doing this. Very cool. I got it off a guy on eBay for $200, about $1,000 normally. It's a bit of a story behind that though, because that's another one. That's a brand new one. I'll tell you that later. Anyway, let's keep going with this. there we go. Old, haggard and busted. New and sexy. The only thing that I know will be not an issue, but something that's pretty standard when you change suspension is the brake line. Usually bolts up onto the, you see here, it's got a little bit there that bolts up onto. Pretty much every suspension I've changed on a car, they never give you anything to bolt it up to. So what you can do is just do a clamp, random. Just do a clamp around here with a little thing and you can bolt it up there. But we'll deal with that later. Just for now, we'll get this all in. I might give this a bit of a wipe down to clean up while we're in here, since it's all nice and open. Short one on the front, tall one on the back. Once again, pretty shagged, like all my overspray. That's nice, huh? Yeah, dirty, overused, and wrecked. Once again, I don't know if you guys saw that when I was taken out, but this is actually holds the brake hard line, so I'm definitely going to do something to hold that in on this shot, because I'd like to have something a little more supportive. But anyway, that's a problem for future Matt. So now we have no suspension in this side of the car. Let's give it a clean up and we'll put the new guys in. There we go. Front's done. I didn't bother showing you the process. It's the same thing, but yeah, we can access all our camber bolts there, which is really cool. All done up on the bottom there, all nice and tight. Pretty close to the wall there, but I'm hoping once it's lowered down, it'll all be fine. Once again, I don't have anything for that brake line, but I'll sort something out for that. And we're good to go. Let's put some wheels on, lower her down, and see how she looks. Holy moly, what a transformation. Look at the angle the car's on. I don't know if you guys can see that properly on the GoPro, but yeah. So this is our stock ride height. You know, you can fit a whole fist in there, and then let's go and check out our new ride height. Oh damn. Look at the back, it's so much better. That's awesome. I wonder if we can see that angle from the back here. So because we've dropped the suspension down heaps, you can see how our front right wheel there is turned in to the left. And our other one is straight. And that's due to the geometry of the steering, basically, because we've dropped that down. The steering rod arms are too long, so it's trying to push in. So I have to adjust them up, but that's fine. That's pretty wild. Let's do the other side. Many low, much wow. Look at this guy. She's got guts. Sick. The back was so high on this car and you could definitely feel it, and now it's sitting so well in the guards. These wheels fit brilliantly. I'm stoked. Yeah, fantastic. I've got obviously got a huge amount of toe in because we've dropped it down. If anybody knows about suspension geometry, basically our control tie rod ends that join up to our steering rack on the back of the knuckles. And so when you drop it down, because of the geometry, it's actually pushed the back of the wheel out now. So if you have a look at this one, it's pointing in. And you have a look at this side, that is also pointing in. So we need to adjust that up to compensate for how low the car is now. The other thing, which I'm sure I'm going to get a million messages about when this video goes live, is the way these hats sit in here. So I'm pretty sure some of the guys run this. God, point the camera at what I'm doing. Rotate it that way so that the slots actually go that way. I'm not too sure on the reasoning behind this. I just went with sort of the way Mca suggests. But look, over time, I'm sure I'll find out what's going on and put it in whatever way. But this is the way it was recommended to me, so I'm doing that for now. Yeah, but we'll chat to some guys. Anyway, let's get these tie rod ends facing the right way, so steering straight, and then I might have a look at this camera and see what's going on. Okay, so here's a little tidbit for you. I got one of these cheapo camber gauges from eBay. I thought, how cool is that? It's got the camber measurement in there with a little bubble. I'm like, that is so easy. And you can stick it on your disc or whatever, but I know like discs, you get lips on them and stuff like that. So I've basically created a straight edge over the wheel, and it was telling me that the camber was like 7 degrees. I'm like, I don't know, man. It kind of looks right. So, not to trust a piece of equipment, I've got this funky little guy here, which actually sets, so you can set the angle, so you can make sure basically everything's level. I'm going to turn that on here, and then it actually shows the angle. So if we tap that down, you can see it'll show you the angle. And I checked it on that, and it was said the front was about 4 degrees. And I'm like, well, that's what it should be, because that's what MCA set it to. So I'm like, all right. So then I jumped on trusty YouTube, found a dude with a slanty wheel car, and he was showing how to measure it up. So I double checked everything by using the level, finding perfectly level, and then measuring from the bottom of the rim to the level, top of the rim to the level, and then that basically gets us angle here. A little bit of maths to find our angle here, because once you've got that and that, you can pretty much find your angle, and it came to 4.1 degrees. So this thing can go in the freaking bin. And yes, I know it's calibratable, and I did calibrate it and everything to make sure it's right. It's just a piece of crap. So that can go in the bin, and I'm going to find a better solution for doing our camber. I did get under the car and give the toe a bit of a tweak just to get it somewhat running straight. But I'm not going to show you that, because on the next episode I am going to build some proper proper toe plates, so we can measure our toe and we can set it ourselves nice and easily using tape measures. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. I know a lot of guys run bars across the front and the back of the car with a string line. That works really well. I think toe plates are pretty easy. I've seen them used before. It's a very simple design, so I'm going to make my own set. They're about, the cheapest I found them is about $200 online. So they'll bugger it, I reckon I can make my own. That's the plan anyway. It may go all terribly, horribly wrong. So yeah, we'll check back for that. And there we go, we finally have our suspension done. Yes, it took a while, and that's pretty much because I just don't have any money. It's probably one of the most expensive components of the car. You know, the roll cages is quite an outlay. And decent suspension. Everything else is actually pretty cheap. It's just one of those things that you can't really get around if you want to, go around a track fast. But yeah, look, the car looks absolutely fantastic. I cannot wait to go and take it around a track, because it is just going to be a whole different car. It's sitting brilliantly low without being a stance boy. And yeah, I'm wrapped. I'm stoked. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Now, just because this is one of the last parts of the car build, don't think this is going to be the end of the videos. I have a ton of stuff to do. Still heaps to do to this car, but yeah, we've got races and events and hill climbs and truck days, and I need to get my license and the rest of my gear and all this stuff. There's heaps more to go. So yes, this isn't the end of the videos. So keep on watching, keep subscribing and all that junk. And yeah, we'll see you for the next vid, where we're going to figure out how to adjust our toe and our camber and all those things. So check back then. Bye.